Our next reader is Anji Sarumi, and she's an agile consultant, singer, and poet who likes to explore the inner and outer ideas of the world in a way that aspires to poetic illumination of the reader's experience. She too organizes poetry readings for the 100,000 Poets for Change and has been published in Red Alder Review, Georgia Poetry Society, The Reach of Song 2022, After the Pause magazine, Georgia Writers Exit 271 Journal, and in other publications. Please unmute and share with us your poems.
And thank you to Wakas and everyone at Agnes Scott who continues to support this event. I also truly appreciate both Michael and Terry who remind us every year to continue to promote peace, sustainability, and justice, and to call for serious social and environmental and political change. So having said that, I'd like to share a poem by one of my favorites, Lucille Clifton, who is a very prestigious and adverse poet in her own right, who shared a poem that attempted to write myself, but then when I read hers, I felt that you would appreciate hers as well, even more. Poem to my uterus. You, uterus, you have been patient as a sock, while I have slippered into you, my dead and living children. Now they want you to cut you out. Stocking I will not need. Where I am going, where am I going? Old girl, without you, uterus, my bloody print, my estrogen kitchen, my black bag of desire. Where can I go? Barefoot, without you. Where can you go without me? My next poem is a pantome inspired by all the images that I have seen. To all the women of the world whose lives have been taken for granted and crossed out, elevation, creation, prostration, whose lives have been taken, I go to prepare a place for you. Elevation, creation, prostration, with a position of reverence and respect. I go to prepare a place for you, Brianna, Harriet, Angela, and me, with a position of reverence and respect. Our lives, our bodies hold the struggle. Brianna, Harriet, Angela, Phyllis, and me. Cross and granted, our lives, our bodies hold the struggle for all the women of the world. And the next poem I wrote is for my son, 97 Calls. I count at least 97 times you called in anguish, screaming out your need for help, but accepting none. I am forced to accept that I can provide none until you are ready. That's what they tell me. And so I lean on prayer and the support of our angels and ancestors and gods and spirit guides collectively to bring you light and a path forward from the darkness that causes you pain, me pain, while I stand on the other end of that tunnel you can't see through. 97 calls, with my hand stretched out to you, wanting to grab and yank you through, shake you till you come to my senses of understanding. 97 calls. Should you want to live on and prime the pump of life to share your awesome gifts bestowed upon you even before birth, 97 and even more. Times my heart breaks into a million helpless pieces that may never match the number that your heart breaks a day. 97 times at least and counting. And my next poem is called Touching the Earth. This is a poem that was born of my realization of my experience of the last couple of years. And again, it's called Touching the Earth. Hiding from the pandemic's pandemonium, Virginia creepers' liberation outpaced my own. I watched it watched me, as it traversed up the lobalolly pines, white oaks, and non-fruit bearing pear trees outside my window. A spectator from inside, overcome by present day genocide on public display. Helpless and defeated, I retreated and wept. Unseen microorganisms wreaked havoc and raged on. Psyche granted furlough. Soon, spring whispered in my ear, joining Carolina wrens that claimed my sunroom, and hummingbirds flittered with sweet expectation past me. Doe and fawn jumped the wooden fence to prance around my yard. On cue, those glorious trees burst their shameless procreations into the air, still assaulted by it all. Them cry, then creep some more, daring to touch the earth again.
I think we're at time. Angie, thank you so much for sharing those incredibly powerful poems. It was so lovely to hear your voice in conversation with Lucille Clifton's as well. Our next reader is Manas Badihian, and her life took her through many different experiences, such as nursing school, dental school, art school, revolution, immigration, and motherhood, but she's always remained a poet and artist. She's published many poems and translation books in Persian language and in English. And her latest collection of poems, Ask the Wind, was published in 2022 by Vagabond to critical acclaim. She finished her MFA in poetry in 2007 from the Pacific University in Oregon, and in 2020 edited and published 300 pages of COVID poetry and art from around the world in a collection entitled Plague 2020. She's an active member of the Revolutionary Poets Brigade in San Francisco, member of PEN, acting member of World Festival of Poetry, and her novel Gohar will be published next year. Please welcome our next reader. Please unmute and share your poems with us.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for this wonderful event. I'm going to only read one poem. It's a very special poem I wrote recently. It's bilingual. And this poem, if many of you are following the world news, a young girl in Iran was killed by a government, Mahsa Amini. And this news is all over the world, especially all over the United States. So I'm dedicating this poem to Mahsa Amini and all the people right now uprising on the streets of Iran. So I'm going to read Farsi version first, and then the same poem in English. مهسا جان خون تو در قلب غمگین ما شقایق شد تو رفتی به دورترین ستاره ها تو دنبال کاروان قهرمانان بودی تو رفتی و قلب ملتی گاهواره تو شد و از خود پرسیدیم ما کجا بودیم که دست اجنبی تو را رو بود ما کجا بودیم که دشمن دست برد به گیسوان بلندت ما کجا بودیم وقتی تو فریاد میزدی حالا تو رفته ای و هر تار موی تو پرچم شجاعت شد چگونه می شود خون سرخ تو را که از گوشهایت جاری است را به ابدیت گل سرخ نبست اما تو نرفتی نام تو جادوی استقامت شد مهسا جان تو آغازی و دیو و جهل پایان تو آبشاری شدی قرآن در دل کوههای کردستان و قرشی شدی با اشارت سرو در خیابان‌های سرزمین مادری. مهسا جان دخت ایران مکرر باد نام معصومت. Beloved Mahsa, your blood turned to red poppies in our heart. You landed on the distant stars. You were looking for a convoy of heroes. You are gone, and the heart of a nation became your cradle, asking ourselves, where were we when the hands of barbarians snatched you? Where were we when the enemy touched your long tresses? Where were we when you were screaming? Now you're gone, and each strand of your hair became a freedom flag. How can one see your red blood seeping through your ear and not tied to the eternity of the roses? But you haven't left. Your name is a magic of endurance. Mahsa, you're the beginning and the criminals are the end. You're cascading waterfall in the heart of the Kurdistan mountains. And you're roaring cypress on the streets of motherland. Mahsa, daughter of Iran, your innocent name is eternal. Thank you for listening. Thank you.